Okay. Happy March, everyone. It's that time of year. Our first episode in March, episode 9 of the Harold Katz podcast. And what are we all doing right now? We are dissecting the Sarachek seed unveiling. Kiva Poppers is able to be in multiple locations throughout the day. He's fresh off announcing the seedings. Unfortunately, I was unable to be on with him. And we also have the Podfather, of course, because it's his show. And he was able to watch the seeds being unveiled with his team. Coach, your overall impression of the show, how excited were your guys watching when their name came up?
Well, my impression of the show was I was surprised that people talk to Pop like he's some sort of expert, but he did say, he did say something, and my guys go, "Coach, that sounds a little bit like you." Pop, I forgot what you referenced, but it was actually something that we had talked about a long time ago. And then I was really proud of Ari Schaff because his dad Simi played for me in 1986. So that'll give you a little something. Probably, yeah, when Ari's dad was in high school, he was my best player. I really enjoyed coaching his dad. I had him for 2 years, and he was great both years. I just loved having him, and he's just a terrific person, and he's grown up to be a better man, and I'm really proud of him. So when I saw Ari on there, it was just, it's Pop and Ari. It couldn't get any better. But our guys were excited. Last year, uh, Pop, what were we last year? 20?
Yep, you were
21,
20.
I think.
No, they were 20.
20? Oh, okay.
20. So then, you end up, we know what some of these teams are going through because we've been there. And the way we responded was get better. I mean, I think what happened to us and what tonight, I think, was a celebration for our guys in that we went to New York. We were the youngest team in the tournament, and we just got manhandled because we were so little. And a lot of our guys went back and said this ain't gonna happen again, so they hit the gym. And you can tell in some of our players they've just gotten you can't imagine what they look like in our black uniforms the first year we had them last year. And I'm looking at them this year in these uniforms, guys like Donnie Oken and Latano Zigdon and Jakob Meister. They just all kind of got in the weight room and got bigger and worked harder at their game. So I think, if Pop, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think there are 16 C's. Of those 16, I think only 3 of us weren't in the top 16 a year ago, which would be Maimonides, us, and North Shore, who wasn't in the tournament. Is that right, Pop? I think everybody else was probably in the top 16 in some form. I could think of Mizrahi, MTA, Berman.
Yeah. Berman rounded out the 16.
DRS, Magan David. I think Magan David was in there last year, right, Pop?
Yes.
Yeah, David was there last year.
David were there last
year.
So go through the list. Cass, everybody was there. We were not.
Yep.
So for us, it was, hey, let's see if we could. And here's how I, as a coach, it has nothing to do with basketball. Okay, it has everything to do with education and raising men and raising warriors. And one of the things you have to do in that situation is you got to put a goal out and say, hey, we're going to reach this goal. Let's see if we can get back here and this time be able to play on Thursday. Because last year we came up Wednesday and we watched all day Thursday because I wanted our guys to get a sense of the feel for everything. I wanted them to see what it was like to play Thursday.
Yeah.
And then say, hey, we're playing Thursday next year, guys. And to do that, we have to put the work in because none of these teams are going away.
Right. They'll be in year out. And for a school of your school of your size, you have to work at it.
Exactly right. And so, to me, that was what gave me the most satisfaction tonight was that these same guys, some guys who've been with us for 4 years. And 4 years ago, we had this goal of starting a program and then maybe being able to get on some kind of, Jewish national stage, which is what their, their bubble is and say, hey, maybe we can compete on that level. Let's see if we can do that. And then I think the guys took it upon themselves to go to Saturn and to go play teams. Like, we don't really get a chance to play a lot of Jewish teams outside of Berman, who last year just kicked our face in. And you know, they were just, whatever it is, whether they were at a different level than us, which I think they were definitely early in the year, and or we just weren't ready to play at that level. And Yona does a good job. So his teams play hard. And if you don't match that intensity, they're going to blow your doors off. And that's what they did to us a year ago. So we just went, and now it's, hey, let's go back and let's get in the gym and let's see if we can put together some kind of, and I think that's what you have to do as a coach. I mean, you have to kind of give your team something to play for, something to reach for, a goal to get. I mean, that's a life lesson. That's not a basketball lesson.
Sure.
Like, our guys learned a great lesson tonight. There is a payoff at the end of hard work. And I think that they got a chance tonight to experience that. So that little thing where they were excited to hear their name, that meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to them because of the work they put in.
Sure.
Because of how disappointing it was for us to not have a chance to compete in the first 16. And we got that. Who are we? We're nobody from no place, like Donnie Carter said in one of those interviews. Like, we're nobody from no place. So, okay, let's see if we could change that narrative. We got in the gym. We worked hard on the defensive end, I think, more than anything else. Everybody made a commitment to get shots up every day, you know, to just get better. Everybody decided to get better and be more patient on the offensive end and the defensive end. And then let's see if we could win 20 games in a year, which we've done. So, like, what? Like, that, to me, that's a goal. And when you reach that goal, what else is there to talk about? Besides, now we build on top of that goal.
Sure.
And we have that's a marker in where we want to go.
Yeah.
You know, this is not, I mean, SAR is no joke. I mean, Rafi is, I mean, they play hard and they're talented. And I don't really want to talk about, I mean, we have so much work to do to even, you know, make it a game. I mean, look, we're going to defend. You know, we have problems that were exposed the other day that we fix this. We're starting to fix this morning, and we have to fix it. We have, like, for the next 3 weeks, we just have to lock in. Like I told them, 3 weeks from tonight, we want to be playing in a meaningful game.
Right.
And the only way we can do that is to strap up, lock in, and get to work. There's not everything else. You know, you have a couple of days off now for Purim. After that, it's straight work, man. We got to get to work.
So,
and the crazy thing is, you know, when Lior, hopefully Lior Schwartz would be in a few minutes, when he gets on, I'd love to hear what he does at the end of the season, because you run a fine line between wearing your teams out and
right. They have a big break now.
Yeah, and then you want to practice and you want to scrimmage and you want to play, but you want to be fresh.
Right.
Like,
how do you walk that tightrope?
You walk that line. So what we did this morning, for example, was we got up at 7:45. We met at school at 7:45 in Darwin, and then watched film for about 45 minutes, and then spent about 50 minutes in the gym working on things that need to get fixed.
Right.
And then we go home, like where we would take 8 to 10. We didn't really do that today. We shortened it because you still have to have fresh legs. And right. Like, people think coaching is just like you roll the ball out, you know, like you're in some, there's a lot of moving pieces here. And that's one of the things I'd love to ask Lior, like, how does he keep them sharp, keep them fresh when they have a break now for 4 weeks? What do they do? How long is practice? Do you practice shorter, longer? You know what I mean? Those are interesting things I'd like to talk to coaches about.
Yeah.
So, but more than anything else, to me, it's a vindication for our guys who really, you know, did a nice job with EULA, and then got our face kicked in on Saturday night, never responded, you know, and it's kind of like the same thing that happened to us this year, where we got our face kicked in with Frisch, and then never responded. Interesting thing, I think I want to say this about Fuchs, who we played on Friday. You know, when a kid comes back from injury like a Fry Blau, who's that talented, you know, that first game back, the whole energy is great because he's back, and then, you know, but then the second game, like Saturday night, I don't think he played up to the standard of play he should be playing at. And I think a lot of that had to do with, hey, Ephraim, we were playing well without you. Now we got to find a place for you. And I think as an injured player, you go like, where do I fit in? We're winning and we're playing well. Like, and I think the first game you're living on emotion and adrenaline. And that second game, or even, I don't know what happened today with JDS, but there is this kind of thing like, where do I fit? We had that with Donnie Carter. We had that with Donnie Oken. We had it with John Rosen recently, where like we're scoring 75 points, and John's like, well, where do I fit in? We'll find a way for you, John. We'll fit you in. And as you see, we fit him in pretty good on Friday. So, you know, there's so many moving parts to coaching that people don't understand. And I'm most happy that our guys kind of got paid for their work a little bit. You know, and now they can see that and take that out of the classroom and off the basketball floor. And in 10 years from now, go, you know, if I just, you know, we talk about this a lot. I mean, you have to live different now so you can live different later.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be successful in life, you have to live different when you're early so you can live different late.
Sure.
You want to be working until you're 65, you keep messing around when you're 35. You want to be chilling when you're 55, 60, put the time in when you're 25, 35. Pass on that night at the club.
Yeah.
Pass on that night, you know, on a stupor, you know, and get to sleep, get the work done now. I think I just saw a thing with Michael B. Jordan. Is that Creed guy, Michael B. Jordan? I think he said something like, I made a commitment to not have to be looking for money when I'm older. I'm gonna live different today than I so I can live different. I'm gonna do things different today so I can live different tomorrow. And that's a message we try to preach. And that to me is the most satisfying thing of tonight.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Coach, and I hope this is a question that's in bounds. Do you think for your team, this tournament is seen a little bit differently than the average Yeshiva League LA team? Do you guys look at this tournament as your real season in a sense?
Well, I mean, we're young, so we're on probation and everything we want to try to do league wise. Because we were, you know, 2 years ago we had 9 kids in our school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there's you have to be able to in this area, you have to be able to support a couple different teams. So otherwise you're probably, now you can play those teams, but you just can't get in the postseason. So for us, this is our postseason.
Right.
And
it's like that rule, right? It's like that rule with Merrimack and Fairleigh Dickinson's conference that they can't get the automatic bid into the tournament.
Right. When I was at Goucher College, we actually won the automatic bid, which we couldn't get because the league didn't have an automatic bid yet.
Right.
So we won the automatic bid, but we couldn't go to the NCAA tournament. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Like we won the bid, but couldn't go because we didn't get a bid.
Yeah, so, yeah. That happened like this year with the CSS new conference. So like
right, that's what happened. Right. So that's kind of the thing we're fighting. So what do you do as a coach? Well, you're right. Like I think when you're in a league, your goal is to win your league, dude. Like that's the only goal you should have. Sarachek is just like to me, for a team like Valley Torah or Shalhevet or the Yeshiva League, Sarachek should just be a postseason celebration, so to speak. But if you're a team like us, I mean, you know, we have this thing like if you're not going to do this right, then why do it at all? Like I had a second grade teacher, Mrs. Rubel, and she taught me this, and I never forgot it. If a task is once begun, never leave it till it's done. Be the labor great or small, do it well or not at all. And I've always kind of adapted that. Like, if we're going to do it, this is the most serious thing we're doing. So if we're going to go, let's go to do something here.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, we'd like nothing more than to muck up this tournament. You know what I mean? But you know how hard that is to do? Like that. We're getting a blue blood here. You know what I mean? Like, we know what we're up against. We're not stupid. I mean, Rafi Alper can coach, man.
But
Period.
you're also not scared.
No, we're not. And we're not going to lay down for them because they're supposed to kick our ass. It's just not. Now, whether they do or not, you know, let's just roll the ball out. Let's play. I mean, we're not going to be afraid. We're just not. We've been afraid before. This stage, you know, we're looking forward to playing on it, whether we, you know, however we do. But if they
it's like you said, if you want to be a tier 1 team, act like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like we can keep going. Like, I know what those other teams are feeling out that are from whatever it was, 17 to 24. I know what they're going through. I went through it. Our team went through it. You know, our resolve was, okay, let's see what we could do with this. I think we, you know, I don't know. Is it the greatest? Pop will tell you, is it the greatest upset win? And, you know, that the school with no wins beat the school with 78. You know, they were telling me that's like a big deal or whatever. Well, no, we expected to win now, but we also expected to win Saturday night and Sunday and Monday, which we didn't do. So now we didn't expect to be playing at 1:30 in the morning, but that is what happens here sometimes. Yeah. So, you know, it's sort of a you know, you got to strap up, or I mean, I'm sure Rafi's telling his team, you got to strap up.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a choice now. This is where you wanted to be. You got to lock in for 3 weeks.
Technically, they can't even focus on you guys yet.
Yeah, they're talking.
No, they got a league to win. Yeah, they got, and trust me when I tell you, I'm not sure they even care about us right now. I'm pretty positive they don't. I wouldn't care about us right now if I was in their shoes. My goal is to win that league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hanging a Sarachek banner in their gym ain't gonna mean as much as hanging the championship banner, which they have in their gym.
Yeah, 20
and 11. What I mean? Like, yeah. So they, you know, they're experienced. They're, you know, they know what they're doing. We got our work cut out for us.
Like I said, we agreed that we were not going to talk about the matchup. I just think the simple takeaway is you talked about all the hard work that your boys put in, and yeah. I feel like they should just be happy that they're in the same conversation with a school like SAR.
Well, yeah, but we're not. In other words, like we're not just happy to be here, like that.
No, that's step one. Step one. There are more steps.
Right. Look, let's get into the conversation. And the only way you continue the conversation is if you compete.
Right. Are there any let me ask you this. Do you think there were any key wins throughout your year that contributed to the tier 1 resume?
I kind of think it's a combination of everything. I don't think we even get to be here if we don't go through the struggles we went through.
So, like if you didn't go to Saturn, for example, you think it doesn't happen?
No, I think we're just a joke.
Wow.
Like, not a joke, but we're just some team that, you know, who they play. We still get to who they play. You know?
I agree with you, Coach, there. Like, even if you don't win, the fact that you were able to at least play with Frisch for a good amount of time.
I mean,
the fact you beat Ramaz, it means something, you know.
Well, it does, and you know, people forget this. Donnie Oken gets hurt now. He has to play. You know, he got hurt in the Mag and David game. I think the score was tied at 15. And with a couple minutes left in the half, we executed what we wanted to. We just didn't make shots. Like, we got what we wanted. Got good shots at the end of the press. Mikey does a terrific job. We are old friends. Got 92 maybe. I met Mikey. So it doesn't seem long ago to me, but it's really long ago to somebody like Pop. How old are you, Pop?
21.
Okay, so I met Ikey Dweck about 10 years before you were even an idea. So, so, and he does a great job, and it was really great to catch up with him at that tournament. I think once we got beat by Frisch, we had to find ourselves again. Like it was once we got beat last year by Ida Crown, we never recovered from that. Like we just didn't compete. It was like such a devastating pissant performance. Well, blowing that lead and then not being able to, like we got out to a lead with Berman, and to their credit, like they always do, you know, they just played great the rest of the game. And you know, we miss a layup at the end of the third quarter on a steal that gives us the lead, and maybe that changes things moving forward. You don't know how things work out. That team's really tough. People who sleep on them are stupid. If you sleep on Berman, I'm telling you, you're getting beat. I don't care if you're fresh. I say you're just getting beat.
No, we've had several conversations about specific teams out of town that you think might be underestimated heading into the tournament. I think we always talked about you guys being a possibility, Berman being underestimated. Anyone else you think that stands out?
Yeah, I think Fuchs is a little bit better than people are going to give him credit for. You know, they're not a joke. I mean, they got a tough matchup here. You know,
sure,
but you know, Fuchs can play a little bit. I mean, they're good now, and they're well coached. That's the other thing.
Fuchs was out of the tier 1 landscape for years. I remember they would petition every year, we're good enough to play in tier 1, and now they're in tier 1 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and they earned it, and they're good at it. And you know, I mean, and look, the resume to me is the whole resume. Our biggest issue, I think, was the first like 12 games we couldn't field our first 8 guys. We weren't even close. You know, we went 3 games without Donnie Oken and Donnie Carter to start the season. Then we had Isaac Reitberger got hurt or was sick. Avi Friedman was sick. Jakob Meister was sick. Grandma got sick. You know, Zigdon got sick. We just had so many. Like, you know, the bug that went around, it hit us really early. So we ended up playing shorthanded for so long. And that's the thing I was saying about Blau. Like when Donnie Carter came back, it's almost like we were playing without him and we didn't really know where he fit. You know what I'm talking about? And so for the rest.
Lior's here.
Oh, okay, great. Welcome in. Remember, maybe we'll talk about this later.
Yeah. I'll touch up on it once he leaves.
Yeah.
All right. Boy, do we have a very special guest now. It's Coach Lior Schwartzberg of the Valley Torah Wolfpack. Coach, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Poppers. I haven't seen you in a long time on a TV screen.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. So Coach Katz, this is obviously your show, so you're going to take over the moderator role. But if it's okay with you, I'd like to ask Coach Schwartzberg one question.
Sure.
So Coach, first off, did you have a chance to watch the seating show?
Yeah, I was watching it. I definitely was.
Yeah. Just your overall thoughts on the seeding. Did you guys find it a little bit weird that coming in as a defending champion or not the top seed, or you don't really think about that kind of stuff?
Did not think twice about it. At the end of the day, we did lose to the number 1 seed. So I think there's a fair argument there. I think they had a great season. I think they had a tough schedule. I think, they're very talented. So I also think that the field itself might be one of the most talented field of Sarachek we've had in a long time. So, honestly, whether you're 2 or 7 or 11 or even 13, you could make a run at it. I think the number 12 seed is very good as well. Maybe they make a run at it as well. But
that's what we're hoping, Lior. Yeah.
The reality is, last year we were the 2 as well, and it is what it is. Everybody has to win 4 games. There's going to be good teams, especially for those 8 lucky winners after the first day. At that point, everybody has something, And as Akiva said in the seating, it's about matchups. It's also about, hitting shots, playing defense, getting on, a good flow at the right time, not falling behind 15 points in the first quarter, all those things. So I think that 2-1, 4-8, it is what it is.
I'm just gonna quickly address the elephant in the room. Coach, if you don't, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
No, go ahead, Oren.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna
my toes. We got the guy for 5 minutes. Come on.
I was gonna quickly address the elephant in the room that you guys have taken on some top teams in California, most notably Sierra Canyon. So you guys are obviously used to going up against some top-notch competition, and now you're going into the tournament as one of the in a bit of a role reversal. Do you guys really embrace that, or again, it really makes no difference to you?
I don't think it makes a difference. You gotta take one game at a time. Even when you look at last year, MTA gave us a good battle. I think most people coming into that game thought that we were going to walk away with it, especially how well we finished our CIF season last year. And I think we might have been down at halftime. And so I think, once you walk on that court in that atmosphere, seedings, records, everything goes out the window. Even the Sarachek, maybe a couple Saracheks ago, we were not that talented and we played SAR and they ended up beating us on a half court shot. Once you go into that, everything.
I remember that game.
So I think that whether or not we're viewed as maybe a Sierra Canyon of Jewish hoops, I don't think it matters once you get to New York, especially when you go against those home crowds, that TABC crowd, the DRS crowd, again,
SAR crowds.
Yeah, everything it's different, and it's a big deal. So I think that the seedings don't matter. I think how people view us, doesn't really matter. I think you got to play basketball. You got to put together.
Lior, this is kind of like a coaching podcast, more a deeper basketball level podcast. That it's not. So I had different questions for you, instead of the fanboy question that
Guilty.
Like at the end of I believe that at the end of your season, you need to practice less and stay fresher. Like if you go for 2 hours on a night, you gotta cut that back to an hour 45 and then an hour and a half. As you get closer to the end of the season, you really only worry about, because you're already installed. I like to think after Christmas, if you don't have anything by New Year's, if you don't have your stuff installed, you're not going to win anyway. So then you just prepare for your opponent and prepare for your mistakes, correct your mistakes. So forget the fact, let's handle, this is kind of a two-part question. One, how do you handle playoff practice and practice? Let's do this for all the Jews listening. How often do you get to practice at Valley Torah? That's question A. Now put that aside. And then here's the second part of that question. When you do later in the season, do you change your practice habits? And then the third question would be, what do you do with this gap right here when you're from the time you're done until you come to New York?
So the first part, in terms of how often we practice, we notoriously don't have a gym, right? So we don't practice year round. We go about 3 days a week of practice. Obviously, you sprinkle some games in there, and so some weeks might be 5 days of basketball because of games. But I don't recall having a week with more than 3 practices. I don't get my guys again till September-ish. And then obviously Sukkot break takes them away right as I get them back. So we really don't get into the grind of things till November-ish. But I agree with you, by early January, we are who we are. And now we just got to tweak who we are based on the matchups for playoffs. So going into a playoff game, I think that it's, heavy on preparation for what to expect, kind of like our package, kind of like football. We come in with, if we're playing, let's say TABC, we're going to have our TABC package that we're going to walk through 5 or 6 sets, right? If I go in, even 5 might be too much. And obviously we're going to have audibles during the game that we're going to adjust based on what's happening. But here is kind of what we're going to do to start the game. Here's what they might do against it. Here's what we're looking to expose. Here's probably what they're going to expose and what we're going to do about it. And that's it. If our practices are 2 hours at the end of the season, it's mostly free throws, getting shots up. We're not trying to get hurt. And even right now, I tell my guys when we do get in the gym, it's like, remember the number one rule is don't get hurt.
Right.
You get those stories all the time of a team that has their top player break a leg 2 days before, and that happened to SDR in like 2017.
It happened to me.
When they had Marcus, the Marcus kid broke his wrist like the day before.
Yeah, I remember.
And they still beat us.
Dovey Marcus.
Yeah, Dovey Marcus. They still beat us. It didn't really matter. But you want to just stay healthy, but you want to also stay in shape. So you want to be heavier on conditioning. But in this low lull, the first thing I did after we lost, and it was an emotional loss for us because we played the team that ended up winning CIF, and they moved up to a division for state, and we had them on the ropes, and they just got hot. I know that we needed at least a week of time off,
right,
to recover. We wanted to, let everything, all the dust settle and kind of build back up and get the excitement for the season. We didn't want to just go right into it because the wound was too fresh. So we gave them some time off. And now we're going about 2 days a week, just trying to get in somewhat shape, just trying to get our that we don't forget too much as we're heading towards Sarachek. So it's a little different than last year.
Are you scrimmaging anybody? Like I'll bring college kids in the scrimmage with my guys. I don't care if I win or lose. I just want the reps. The thing that you said about this, when you're old like me, you tend to forget like right away. That's why I have to interrupt, or otherwise I forget. But you said something just now about you go 2 days a week, whatever, I'll remember it. But are you going to scrimmage at all, or you just kind of practice? And
if we can find a scrimmage, I'm not opposed to it. I think it's tough because when you're looking at
most teams shut down for spring sports.
Yeah, a lot of people are either shut down or they're just starting up for spring.
Wait, Lior, stop. I remember.
Freeze.
You made a great point about the wound being fresh. And what I was just talking to these two guys about before was we played fresh and we're plus 19 in the third quarter with 5 minutes to go. And we ended up finding a way to lose that. And then you got to play the very next day. That's debilitating.
Yeah.
And I found that it took us like 2.5 weeks to get over it. And we're playing, like we come home and we got to play, and we're playing tough competition. And then we go to a place, the center's going to Marymount and he's just kicking our ass. And then I go into halftime. We go into halftime and down 10. And I'm like, fellas, you can stay in this stupor for the rest of the year, or you can turn around and be somebody you wanted to be. That's over. There's nothing you can do about it. Like it just lingered. You understand? Step slow. Exactly what you said. Like it's debilitating loss, and the week off is such a smart thing to do. That is so great. So other coaches may not agree. I can tell you from my own experience this year that we could have used that week off. We could have rehabilitated.
The other thing is, at the end of the year, nobody's like healthy.
Right.
Everybody's banged up.
Right.
Even in playoffs, we had injuries. We had guys that were playing hurt, like can't move my wrist, but I'm still going to play because it's playoffs. That 7 to 10 days off is good physically for them to heal, emotionally, just take some time off. But yeah, it was tough, but that game was tough.
So when you get back here, so now you're not scrimmaging anybody, you won't bring any alumni in or something like that to try to do that?
A lot of our alumni are in New York that would show up. So it's kind of tough, or they're in Detroit.
Right.
But so
what are you talking about?
We just have some alumni in Detroit. Now, they're kind of spread all over, but we have a couple in Detroit as well. I heard that's what I heard last. But so
there's a great synagogue in Detroit, right near where some of your alumni live. Young Israel of Oak Park, a fantastic rabbi. If you ever get a chance to meet him,
take note.
Happens to me, my son. But what can I tell you? It's just I'm a little biased with that.
If we could scrimmage, we would. One of the issues is, again, some high schools are starting spring fresh, so it's basically their JV. They don't want to scrimmage a team that's bringing in a team that's been together, or you have club teams, but they play Friday, Saturday. Not a lot of them are going to play us Sundays. So that's also a layer of challenge. If somebody comes to mind, or if something happens where we can't get a game, I'm not opposed to it. If alumni say, hey, we're in town, we came back for yeshiva a week early, and we're willing to play. Yeah, I'd love to play. Playing ourselves is tough. Everybody knows everything, and it's hard to really get them through a scrimmage amongst ourselves.
Because everybody cheats the system.
They cheat the system. They know who's who, and
Yeah.
even if I tell them, hey, we're gonna work on our zone set, so everybody's in a zone, they're gonna change the zone halfway through
Sure.
based on
Sure.
they're gonna outsmart me, and they're smarter than me. And then I always have to start correcting them and telling them not to do it, but they're doing the right thing. I just don't want them to do the right thing at that
Right.
moment.
Do you think that contributes to what happened with MTA a year ago? Like you just don't have well, you actually played later, right? You played later in the year.
Well, yeah, we played up until a week before Sarachek.
Right. So now this year you don't have that.
I think the problem last year with MTA in almost every game is we just came off a state run, one of the deepest runs that our school or any yeshiva in California have done, and we're playing Westchester, Chatsworth,
Right, sure.
like huge 4,000 student schools, and I think the mindset was backwards of we just beat all of them by 20, 30 points. We're just going to walk on the floor here and we're going to be dominant. And I told all of them, because none of them have ever been to Sarachek at that point.
Right.
I said, you walk on that court and everything changes.
Sure.
The shots you make don't go in. The rotations that you forget. The lights go on and just it's weird. And all of them at halftime were like, okay, you were right. Like this is strange. This is weird. This is awkward. And then we kind of got it together and found a way to not lose it as much as we tried to give every game away in Sarachek, basically.
So what do you do this year? Like this year now you have a 4-week gap maybe where you have them played.
There's
Lior, is this survive in advance in the first day?
Yeah.
Like let's get through the half. We'll get kinks. The first half will be clunky.
It's gonna be weird. We just got to get through that, right? The first quarter of everything being not what you expect it to be, and then it's a team that settles in. And our first round is not going to be a cakewalk by any measure. I think TABC is a very good team. They got a very good player. They got good, guys around them that can hit shots. And they're going to have the home crowd. I don't think that I'm not looking forward to the second or third or fourth round. We got to win the first one.
Exactly right.
So we do have a 7-week break here. I think that's slightly to our disadvantage or to our advantage. Maybe last year's experience of knowing, hey, we're not going to walk in and, our record doesn't matter, who we play doesn't matter, who we have doesn't matter. You got to play basketball.
Right. Terrific answer. I just think with a break like that, first of all, you heal up, except the big kids. Sorry about that, but you heal up, and then it's really going to be like we have to get our feet wet again. It's not just us. Now let's see another Jew somewhere. Let's get to play a Jew right here. So I think if you're in the yeshiva league and you're making runs like SAR and Friss are doing, it's not that far detached from Sarachek. So you're even Magen David. So you're really still in the North Shore. You're still playing, and everybody else is kind of shut down.
Yeah.
So for the out of town teams like us, we have to find a way to kind of stay competitive. It's interesting to hear what you have to go through. Anytime you want to come to Baltimore and light us up, we'll be glad to have you.
I wish we could take that trip, but too many missed classes, I think, is going to be the reason. But yeah, it's the other thing about if you do scrimmage at different teams right now, there's always in the back of your head, like if somebody gets hurt, right? You're playing competitive, they're going to get after it. Somebody lands awkwardly, gets undercut, and all of a sudden, all you'll think about is, I wish we didn't. If we just sat at home, we would be okay. And you just, you don't want to do that as well.
Happened to me.
Or, if one guy gets sick, the whole team gets sick. So you want to stay healthy that way too. So it's a strange time, but I think with the seeding show tonight, and now we know who we're going to play, and obviously we're going to have most of this week off anyways, you start getting back into it, and we're hoping that the hype will be there. They can mentally kind of start gearing into that. And I think the fact that a lot of them were there last year, hopefully that helps too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look, I know you got to go. I appreciate you giving the time. Are you good now, or you got to take off, right?
I got to start getting ready. I got about an hour.
I promise you 15 minutes, and I hold it. But we'd love to have you again.
Whenever when the text from Coach K comes on, I'm going to respond to it. Not the Duke one. I'm not going to respond to him.
But I don't think these two guys don't know that we have had long basketball discussions before.
Absolutely.
via email or text message.
Coach, I just assume that you're plugged into everyone.
Well, Lior's doing such a great job. I'm not even sure why he's talking to me. So, like I'm like the old man. Like you're doing such a great job. It's a joy watching your team play. And to me, I'll tell you what I enjoy. I enjoy the growth of the player. Like the kid you have playing the point right now, his growth from a year ago to today is ridiculous.
We talk about it a lot.
Johnny, what I'm not saying his last name. I just call him 3. I just can't do that. It's just and that's a credit to you and a credit to the kid.
That's a credit to him.
Yeah.
His name Noam Yuchas.
Yeah, whatever.
And that's a credit to him. That I had nothing to do with that. He just showed up 5 inches taller, 20 pounds heavier, and just that much better.
He has a long future in basketball, and
absolutely.
Especially as far as right.
We look forward to seeing him and you in a couple of weeks in New York. Thank you so much, Lior. We really appreciate it.
And if you ever need me back, just
I'll probably hit you something up maybe next week or the week after.
Absolutely. Just let me know when.
Thanks, Lior. I appreciate you coming on.
No, of course. Take care, guys.
You too.
Where were we?
Look, Woj, you for sure remember.
We were talking about. I was going to ask you a question. So
wait, I was gonna answer your question about the resume for a second, but hold on. I just want to make a point about Lior.
Please.
My point was not to hey, let's talk about our teams or whatever.
No.
Let's talk about the process. That's what this podcast is really about. Like nobody really knows what we have to go through when we don't have anybody to play. And now we got to figure out how to do it and how to stay fresh. I was trying to make this point, but I didn't want to belabor it. 99, 2000. Tamir has 53 that night. We lose Shlomo Taderstein a week before. I was at the tournament, and I know he was the second best player in the tournament. 6'4", 245. 20 and 20 every night. He's just a beast. And we got to get out because he was such a great rebounder and such a phenomenal player. And we never get to do it because he tears his Achilles the week before that in the tournament. So I know exactly what he's talking about. I kicked myself for it for years. So, it's a really, so that's why my questions were really more focused on process. I wanted to get back to the resume thing.
I just want to quickly touch up on what you just said. I think it's kind of funny, you just assume that a program like Valley Torah doesn't struggle in those areas because they played the top competition and they have the marquee names in Jewish basketball all over the country, frankly.
Yeah, but what do you do for 7 weeks? Like, what do you do? There's only so much you can practice. I kicked my guys out couple of weeks ago, then I brought him back. I'm like, get out of here, you stink, get out. I was a little more descriptive, but then I brought him back. But I brought him back, and we really had probably 30 of the best minutes we've had all year. So I think you have to understand that while everybody else is still playing here in the New York tri-state area, that is assuming everybody stays healthy, that's a monster advantage. It's not a little advantage. It's a monster advantage to everybody here. We're just scrapping for games. We'll play anybody just to get a run in, but I want to address the resume thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think going to New York and for us it was, and that's what when I was talking to Lior about, how long it took us to recover from the Frisch thing. To be able to play with them was part of the resume. In other words, we didn't just roll over and get our.
Yeah, you didn't necessarily have to win to boost the resume.
Oh, I would have liked to win.
Sure.
The question is, can you compete on that level with the 4 seed in the Sarachek tournament?
Correct.
And as far as I was concerned, we actually proved that. We did take on the defending champ, who I lost a lot of guys, but they were far bigger than we were. You know what I mean? And again, I don't. Here's something that people don't realize, and it's the same thing for Blau, by the way, but a little different in our situation. Donnie Carter doesn't play the entire preseason because he has a broken hand So a broken wrist. So we don't get him back till the last week of November, early December. And he's never taken reps in our new defensive system. So it's kind of learning on the fly. And our mistakes, when I watch the games now back, you can just see where he's lost sometimes. About to fill a game. The JDS game, he didn't know what the hell to do, because we were just, he was just starting to play. And then everybody else is out, and you have to now find a way to, when they come back, to play with them. And it's very difficult to get reps when you install something new, and to get reps in the regular season and think you're going to be in tip-top shape at some point. So I think the just spanking Cristo Ray like we did, who's owned us for years, being able to play with Berman and beat him. We were both missing, we were missing Donnie and Aris didn't play. So, Rosedale Baptist, we have Landon Christian beat. They're the number one seed in this tournament by a long shot now. I'm sure everybody's going to say that about their opponents. I just know from the fact that
from being around,
I've already told a bunch of friends about this one high major, mid-major, high major playing there, and they're all over the kid. And I told other friends, a low major coach, about the point guard, and he's all over him. So and then there's another kid that a ton of Division IIs are. They're just so much talent in that group, and they're just young and getting together and figuring it out.
Right.
So to go there and lose by a point, I don't think anybody understands how hard that was for us to do. They spanked us pretty good the first time. We were down at some point 30. And it's not neighborhood. Pop, this wasn't neighborhood. They came to our place and just kicked our teeth. And I think again, that was early in the year, and we were missing a couple guys for illness, and Donnie Carter had just come back, and he was not playing well, on the defensive end, and it spills into the offensive end. It's just like a teeth gnashing thing. And then all of a sudden, the game we played at Covenant Life, another team with college players on it, potential, one kid's going to this place, this Division III, and another one's going to that Division III, right? So playing them and losing to them, and then having a gut check moment at halftime, where again, I wouldn't say it was Devar Torah at the half. We just kind of got to a point where we had to make a decision who we were going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that was the turning point in our season. And I think we've had, like I could tell you about these teams, and okay, everybody says that. The only difference is I coach on that level, so I know what those kids look like. You can assume that kid's going to college to play. I know if he's going to college to play.
Right.
And if we're playing kids who aren't going to college, I'll tell you. But at Rosedale Baptist, in 2 years from now, they're all going to be playing someplace in college. And to spank them like we did, we just started to get better that day. And we started to come together, and everybody started to play better. And we still lost a game or two here, but.
I'm sure the team that you coach now is a team that you don't recognize, back from.
Yeah, well, I think we were at some point 12-7. I don't know where we are now, 20-9 or something. So what is that? That's 8-2. Last 10. We're starting to play better. And now what do you do to keep doing that? And most of those 8 were quality wins. So I was happy with that.
Yeah.
Coach, I'm curious your thoughts on the depth of the field. I know Lior touched on it a bit, and you touched on it a lot.
Yeah, he said it was the strongest field he's seen in a while. Do you agree with that?
I think it's terrific. I think there's probably, well, a couple teams notwithstanding, I think there's probably 18 teams that have a chance, that can really, Mesivta and Rashi being 2 more, that can really, make a little bit of noise in this tournament. You know what I mean? The team in Florida is pretty good now, and whatever reason, MDY or Rambam leaving, whatever it is, Obviously the last two out
I know. I feel like it's always so tough on them going in.
got kicked out because MDY comes in and you can't put them where Rambam would have been, right? And then MTA getting the 16 seed.
We're not gonna.
The
Yeah.
only thing I don't. It'd probably come back to bite me, but I'm not sure that was a.
It's your show.
Well, I'm not. I'm just not. I mean, they're just not better than those other two teams, but they're the host school, so you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
Like you're the host school, there's nothing you can do about it. If you're going to have 24 teams play, that's what you're going to have to deal with, and somebody's going to get bit if you're. Now, do I think that those two teams?
It would have been the first time that MTA had not played on a Thursday, and I think that was one of the issues.
Right. So I get it all, but somebody's going to get screwed on it, and it happened last year, I guess. It happened this year, but this year's depth. And like I said, all those teams played in this tier before, and then North Shore is at the top of the tier, and Maimonides was down in the other. Like Ed knows what that feels like too. What I'm talking.
Yeah. No, Ed's had a lot of down years with Maimo.
Yeah, and we were there. Like we know what that's like. So like somebody want to begrudge us that we went to work and actually went out to go play these teams, so that we could say, hey, win or lose, we're not going away, and we're not afraid, and we'll go anywhere to play. So for somebody to make a comment like we're ducking you, forget that. We don't duck anybody. I'm just going to leave that there, Pop. I'm not going to say, but somebody saying we're ducking.
Not going to name names.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, I think Pop and I have actually had this conversation multiple times, and I don't think it's a controversial question, so I'm going to ask it. Do you think the committee needs to visit the possibility of having a tournament where every team is tier 1 eligible? Can you do that?
Can you do that? I mean, I think you could do that with multiple sites. I don't think you could do that at YU.
Right.
I mean, I think you could do that, but you'd have to go to a buy system where instead of, what was it when 20 teams, so 4 got a buy. You have to go to 8, get a buy. And I just don't know how many extra games.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're hitting the right tone because you're trying to give all these teams who are on the outside looking in inspiration for next year. But I don't know. It would seem so deflating to me going into a tournament knowing that you can't win the entire thing.
Well, you can win the entire thing. Like my response was, well, let's just win this. Let's win whatever tier we get into. Now, and then once you lose that, I don't really. You're end up in tier 2, right? Because you win and you beat Eula. So we ended up in tier 2, right, Pop?
Yeah, that's
so
great.
Like anything after that, then like if we lost out of crown, the rest of it doesn't matter to me. I just want to play, and at that point, we're trying to create an atmosphere for our seniors, who are going to be seniors, our juniors who are going to be seniors.
Right.
Say, hey, remember what this feels like? Because you came here as little kids, and next year you got to come in here as men.
Right.
And believe me, when we were
granted, there are no teams that are like you in this situation.
What's that now?
There are no teams that are. I mean, these teams, like you guys, were a team of your oldest guys being juniors. Like all these teams were on the outside looking in. They have seniors.
Right. That's true, and that's a tough break for them. And I know what it feels like. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. So once you're doing there, let's muck up the tournament. Like once you're in that. Once that's your thing, let's muck up the tournament. Oh, well, they got a what seed? Well, come on over here, play us today. We'll kick your ass.
Yeah.
Like that's the approach you have to have.
No, I remember one year Ida Crown was maybe an 18 seed, and they went perfect. They went 4-0, and they won the whole thing.
I mean,
their star player was Daniel Otani, if I recall.
I think that's the approach you have to have in a tournament like that, regardless if it's this tournament or any other tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, our guys just wanted a chance. That's why I think, their excitement of getting a chance, and to them, that us, Maimonides, we are the kind of poster boy. The first 2014 tournament was last year. So we're kind of the poster boy for.
Right, where you don't play on Thursday.
You don't play Thursday. We were the kind of the first two to do that and get to this thing. And I people want to say whatever they want about it. They can say whatever they want. We're there. And we let our plan speak for itself. We're not, you know, when we take the floor, 45% of our school is going to be on the floor when we take the floor.
Wow.
So, and we don't use that as an excuse. We're here playing, but just know that's hard work. You know, we don't go out and recruit basketball players. Sadly, I'd like to do more of that. That's a hint to the principal at some point. But if he's listening,
Rabbi Silber.
Yeah, if he is listening, I'm fired. But if he's listening, so like we don't have that. You know, we're stuck in our little whatever we got going on. But I like, yeah, you're pissed off, and you have every right to be, and you should be, and now go ahead and win it.
Right.
By the way, let me just say this: because of that, because there are teams good enough to play in this other tier, you go over there, win that tier. Now you've accomplished something. You understand? Because there's teams in there that are good enough at least to be playing on Thursday that aren't.
Yeah.
And so if that's the approach I would have. Like, okay, now you're gonna have to earn this. Teams over here and the teams that lose on that first day, those other tiers are going to be massively competitive.
Yeah.
Like in a big way. Like those other games, like the losers of these games, that whole second tier is going to be you can make the argument that some of the teams in the second tier, even on Friday, they bounce here or there and they're playing Thursday. I mean, they're playing in the other place on Friday. I mean, they're somebody else is playing in that tier. But this tier right here, it's not like the losers of Thursday are going over there to play and then there's nobody there. There's people there who are good.
Yeah.
People who can play.
So I guess
there's going to be a legit good team, if not two legit good teams, which end up in tier 3 just because they have to.
No question about it. No question about it.
And I guess your advice is, okay, you're upset about it. Let your playing do the talking. Show them why show them why they were wrong.
Exactly. You can run your mouth all you want. It means nothing. Nobody cares. You're the only one who cares. You and your 12 friends. The only way it's going to make a difference is if you get on the floor and go to New York and win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't remember. Correct me, Pop. But I remember my Monties going on there bitching and moaning. They didn't get in there, did they?
Maimonides this year? Last year?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think so.
I know we didn't say anything.
They were really young last year. I don't think.
Yeah, and look, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be upset. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to disparage other teams because you want to pump up your own thing. I'm not feeling that, and I don't care who you are.
No.
Like I'm not coming on here to disparage anybody. You know what I mean? Like look, it's the depth of this tournament. I mean, let me put it to you this way: Mac and David's your 8.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that they probably feel a little bit disrespected, but then again, they have to be thankful that they're even in the field.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. And look at the chance that they get. You know, if they beat DRS, they get a chance to play the winner of Shalhevet MTA.
Right. Most likely Shalhevet.
I mean, if you believe that you got disrespected, come and earn it.
Yeah.
Come take your respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, come and take it. Come and take it. And believe me when I tell you, they are every bit good enough.
It's motivated, yeah.
But I mean, they're good enough to win this, and Ike does a great job. I mean, they are good enough to win this whole thing. So that how many teams? When you look at this thing, the question is how many teams have a legit chance to win it, and this is a very deep field. I'm actually kind of impressed with it.
I would say. It's just my opinion. I think it's a strong field, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I really still, I feel like.
And you have to rephrase the question: how many teams can get to the semifinals? Because once you're in the semifinals, you're 2 games away from it.
Right.
And the answer to that is probably 15 teams.
Yes, fair. I was putting the top 3 in a class of its own, but yes, that's
right. So in which case, it's actually a pretty good tournament.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So and I believe it's a pretty good tournament. It's one of the reasons why I play in it.
And not only that, but like tier 2 now has more year two now means something more than it has in the past.
because there's
Yes.
juice there. There are really good teams playing in there that should be someplace else. And then
Yep.
somebody's going to lose on Thursday that's good enough to win on, Monday. Right? Somebody's going to lose on Thursday that was good enough to win, to go to the semifinals on Sunday.
Yeah.
But because of whatever reason, now they're playing Friday. So that's my point on the depth of this thing. It's sort of
Yeah.
so it's, I don't want to say intimidating from the standpoint of, ooh, it's intimidating, but you got to go to work like every night, which is the reason why I asked Lior the questions I asked him, because you got to go to work every single night.
Yeah.
If you take a night off, you have one bad shooting night, you're going home. And not only you're going home, you're going to play in another tier where somebody's really pissed that they're not in that tier. And if it's a debilitating loss, you may never recover. You know what I mean? Like that.
Do
It's
you
hard. This one's hard.
do you think the Yeshiva League semifinalists are at an advantage or a disadvantage?
Definitive advantage.
Mhm.
Because, and here's why. Because one, they still have the goal they set out to do in front of them. All four of those teams are in this tournament now. Okay? One of them is going to be the champ. And whichever one it is probably going to feel like they were underseeded. Okay?
Not North Shore,
Well, not if they don't win it.
but I'm saying they're ranked.
I get it, but Mag and David beats them, and you don't think Mag and David's thinking like, well, we
Oh,
won.
absolutely with Magan. But yeah.
That's what SAR wins the championship. You don't think?
Yeah. I mean, Magan's seated behind DRS.
Yeah, I'm saying like you don't think we should be the. No, I don't think that's right. Magan's seated.
Magan's eight.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8,
Same
9.
idea. Same idea.
Yeah, I'm
but
sorry.
but that is the idea. Like you.
They got put into the DRS category instead of the North Shore first.
Yeah. That's the way I meant to phrase it. Thanks.
Right.
Bob.
So what I'm saying is that kind of it's an advance because you're just so focused on what you're trying to do that whenever you're done, the guys who get eliminated this week or next week, it won't be either or the week after, the ones who get eliminated that week or that Sunday, was it the 19th or whatever?
Yeah, it's the Sunday preceding the Thursday the Sarachek starts.
It's 5 days before. I mean, it's a major advantage. The disadvantage is you lost what you tried to win. And then you have this kind of, I don't know if it's a consolation prize, but we can go in here and beat everybody else and we can beat them again on Thursday, starting Thursday. But they're still playing. Those four teams have a monster advantage. Even DRS has a monster advantage because they played last week.
And coach, just to add like an example from last year, Mag and David was they lost, I think maybe even 3 times, definitely 2 times to Ramaz, and then Ramaz won the Yeshiva League championship. Then Mag and David was waiting for weeks for their chance for revenge.
Yeah, it's a great
point. They got it.
That's a great point.
You've got a potential there with DRS too.
Right.
Yep.
That's sort of my point.
And
you have a chance to kind of salvage something out of it. You didn't get that, but you got this, right?
Right.
So you have a chance to salvage that. I think it's a major. It's like, look, Lior's waiting 7 weeks to play. That's nuts.
Crazy.
That's nuts. That's nuts. It's like a whole spring season.
Yeah.
That's nuts. But that's what happens when you're out of town. So forget the general out of town secondary thing going on, that everybody claims. But then you have the out of town teams that everybody around them is into spring sports, and in the Yeshiva League, that's not really something that happens.
Right. No, you have spring sports, but there's definitely not as much of an emphasis compared to ball.
Oh, because they're on the Jewish calendar, though. So like the basketball thing stretches till the 19th.
Yeah.
And then after Pesach, okay, so then we'll have some spring sports, or they're playing hockey now, whatever it is, right? So that it's a major advantage. It's why we try to keep playing something.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's people, we just want to play. You just have to play because there's only so much we're doing again. Now we got to fix what's broke, in my opinion. But once we handle that, we're just gonna have to play a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, not a lot. It's like Lior said, you got to stay healthy.
Yeah. So I want to ask you this question, if you don't mind. Now speaking from the perspective of a neutral, I definitely don't want us to play favorites on this podcast because I just don't think it's appropriate. But can you answer me this question? One player who you haven't seen a lot of that you're looking forward to seeing at this tournament?
Well, I can never get enough of that kid at Valley Toro, number 3.
Mujas. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy watching Johnny. I mean, I saw the kids at North Shore a few times in Sats. Right?
Orlean.
Yeah, or wasn't it Orbach?
Orbach.
Orbach, not Orlean.
Yeah. Ethan Orbach.
Yeah, and then there's another kid, 14 or something, big boy.
Abizada?
I don't know what his name is. He's a big fella. I'm gonna get a first-hand look at Mr. Sanser. I'll probably see him.
Yeah, that's y'all the best seat. Y'all the best seat in the house for that.
see him in my nightmares for the next 3 weeks. So I wish I could tell you I'm looking forward to seeing him, but I'm really not. I'm really not.
Have you seen any of Farkas out of RASG?
I have. I enjoy watching him play, and I really do wish he had a chance to play against him.
Yeah, I think that's the highlight player that people have said who's on the outside looking in.
I think so, but the good news for Farkas is he's going to be playing good competition. Like he's going to be playing somebody who can play. Even if he ends up. I mean,
look at MTA first.
He might
Pop roached it.
Yeah, but at some point,
but like if let's say they win that and they go to tier 2, they probably get DRS or Magan David.
Right.
So, but here's the thing, okay? I think I've seen a lot of guys, but what I'm looking forward to seeing is the kids I don't expect to see. And every year there's somebody you don't expect to see.
So you think there's a player out there that might surprise us?
I do. I think there's somebody like Farkas out there who just, he was just a little kid and then he grew up and, look, the kid we just played, what's his name? Jacobs.
Yeah, Nate Jacobs.
Yeah, it was like a little kid last year, and now he grew up. He's much taller than you think he is. He has mad range. As soon as he gets off the bus, he can pull it. So I was looking forward to seeing him play. I got to see him play firsthand. I got to watch him last night where he was really good. I've seen him fry and play a lot, Blau.
You've seen plenty of Asher.
Seen too much of Asher.
Have you seen the Masifta kids?
I have. I like they have a couple players who can really play. I mean, you pointed out on the podcast.
Miogoros, is that
Miogoros and Schmidman, yeah.
Yeah, Schmidman's a pretty good player. And then that little big kid who stuffs up the paint. Shouldn't call him little, about 6'6". He stuffs up the paint.
Oh, is he back? What was his last Gross?
Yeah, I don't know what his last name is, but I just know he's a big fellow. So those kids are pretty good. Now I'd like to see them play. I've seen the kids at JEC play.
Well, let me ask you about Masifta, because Masifta was the lowest seed in the tournament last year. And if you go off the advice that you've been giving them, they put in the work and lo and behold, they're still in tier 2 again.
Well, sometimes it is about your resume. Don't come to New York and play MTA in a scrimmage.
Oh, is that what they did?
Yeah, call Joey. Call Joey and say, "Hey, Joey, we'd like to get in your tournament. What are the chances we could do that?"
Yeah.
Now, is Masifta's administration going to let them go to Hafter? I doubt it.
Right. There could be some Ashkata questions there.
Yeah, there is. So, I mean, that's my assumption. I may be wrong, but I mean, a co-ed school, I don't know if they're going to participate in that.
Right. They certainly want to go to Globerman.
Right. So I think you have to go out and want to get it. Like you got to go out and get your face kicked in. Otherwise, you're just sitting over there with Kohelet and you're playing each other.
Right.
Yeah, and also coach, if they would have gone and beat Kohelet twice by 32, that probably changes their resume a little bit. I don't
Yeah, to me that's idiot math.
I agree with you, Coach.
Yeah.
You don't-
Oh, that's
I
what
don't
it
make-
was.
I knew you were
Pop,
gonna say
when you
that.
said-
But
when you said, Pop, when you said neighborhood game, that's when my guys were like, did he get that from you? I say, yeah, he probably did.
probably.
And that's what happens to them. It's a neighborhood game, but then no one, you know, you got to kind of get out of your comfort zone and you know, like every year we're going down to Philadelphia to play Coachella. At some point we're like, we're not doing that no more. Like,
Right. It's not going to help your case.
and we make that trip every year. Then they come here and they don't have the, you know, they don't have the nads to call us. Like I'm gonna complain about it. Like we play them every year. Berman never went down there. Betafilla never went down there. They come down here and play Betafilla and Berman, and they don't call us to play after we come down there 2-3 years in a row, and you give us the same two old men refereeing every night. I mean, we're playing Coachella a couple years back. I think I told this story. We were up like 25 or whatever, and everybody had 3 fouls at the half. I just don't have that kind of a bench because old Grandpa Pete, whatever the hell his name is, and his boy, you know, like I had the same referee 3 times. What are the odds that you can do that? I went there in 2017, had this referee. I went back in 2019, had that referee. I went back in 2021, had that referee. Like, I mean, Jesus. I mean, same friggin' guy in the city of Philadelphia that actually sent, there's 60 referees. Don't get me started on this. There's 60 referees in the NBA when Scott Donahue was working, when Tim Donahue was working. There were 60 referees in the NBA. 12 of them came from Philadelphia. Okay? Most of them from that school where the two fixers were from with Donahue. Like, okay, I mean, you draw your own conclusions about what I think of that. But in the whole city of Philly, this old man, who I really like, he's a fun guy, but I don't need him reffing my games every time I go up to Coachella. And then you come down here and you don't play us, you play them, and you don't even call us. Say, hey, I know you come to Philly 3 times. Why don't you? Come on, man. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just now, to be fair, Masita wanted to come to us on the 26th of February, but we had a gym issue, and so we couldn't play because we didn't get the gym. It's not our gym. So we couldn't get the gym because we're Sunday programming now after COVID, right? So there wasn't going to be, and then there was. So now we plan on playing them later, but you know, we'll see how that goes. You know, but I think you got to do that. That's what we fixed to do. We say, hey, we're going to get in the gym and we're going to try to get in these places and play people. Like you know what we'd have done? We'd have driven up to New York, played 3 teams and gone home. Like go hit Hillel and, you know, or go Flatbush, Mag and David. We'd have done that if we didn't get into Joey's tournament.
Yeah.
But Joey and I have been talking about us coming. Like he came to me last year at Sarachek, so you come to our tournament next year. So sure, we'd love to. So I think what you have to do is go to Sarachek. We didn't mope about it. We say we're gonna play who they put in front of us. So we did it, and luckily we won the game, and we were approached by a few teams to play. So, you know, like I would love to play. You know, one of the nicest men I've ever met is Abrams. Abram is at DRS.
Yeah,
He's such
a down to earth guy. Yeah,
he was so supportive. You know, he's just such a great guy, and he's invited us, my wife and I, to stay at his home. And I love the guy. He has a child who lives here, and I like seeing him. Every time I see him, I'm looking forward to seeing him and his wife at the tournament. And it's just he's a good guy. We don't have the same basketball philosophy, and that's okay. Doesn't mean he's a bad person.
No,
It just means he's a nicer guy than me, which is true. So it's hard to argue. He's just a great guy. So so if I called Abram and say, hey, Abram, I want to come down and play, he'd say, sure. You know, like I don't have any doubt that he would invite us up to play. He's just such a terrific guy. And so I'm not pointing him out. I think Joey did it, and I love that Joey did it. Abram would do it. I know Ike would do it. Ike was talking about coming down here to play. You know, he reached out to Yona at Berman, and Yona reached out to me. Sure, we'd love to play. It just turned out they couldn't do it. I'm talking to other coaches, as I'll say, about arranging stuff. So I think you have to do that. That's what you have to do. And we were leaving Sarachek before we even left. We were committed to doing it. You don't think we could play at that level? We're gonna come back and show you we could compete.
Yeah.
And then kind of like dare you to keep us out of it. And I think that's what Yona does. Yona goes to California. Yona goes to Joey. To that Sacha.
This is his third tournament.
Yeah, good for
It's
him.
Amazing. It's really amazing.
For him, I'm glad they let him do it.
Yeah, no, my
glad-
school would certainly not give permission for
They
this
can
to
afford
get
to
out
do
of
it.
tournaments.
I can't afford to do it. Good for him. He's a good basketball coach. He's a great AD. So, and we've developed a pretty good relationship.
Yeah, no, they're a very likable
I
team.
respect them a lot.
They're a very likable team, I think.
Yeah, because you kind of look at them and go, boy, they're small. And
Yeah.
you get on the floor with them and you go, God, they're so good.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? They get after you. They just get after you. Those two guards over there. Now, listen, I think when them two guards graduate in June, they're going to be difficult to replace. Not just the scoring, it's their ball pressure, as Frisch is going to again find out.
Well, August is going to run the team as a sophomore, it seems.
Yeah, but as much as I like him, and I really like him, he ain't these two, at least not yet.
No.
He may be one day.
Over time, sure.
Yeah, and Gaby Margulies will be good one day, but these two guys get after you. I mean, neither one of those have their quickness, both of them.
Yeah.
Aarons and Asher has a certain different kind. You know what I love about Asher? Asher went in the gym in the summer and just got better.
Seems like he really works.
Yeah, he's just a great kid. I love him, and I like Aarons a lot. I like that whole team. I like all those guys, and our kids root for them. And we enjoy playing them and enjoy rooting for them. And we know how good they really are. So we're kind of hoping we get to see that.
Yeah. Touching back on what you previously said, you gave advice to these small high school basketball programs that they need to take the initiative, they need to reach out. But as we've learned from Elliott and YU, sometimes you'll do the reach out, and these teams will kind of laugh in your face. So, what's your advice?
My advice is keep doing it. Well, first of all, you got to jack up your in-town schedule, and don't be afraid to put your in-town schedule on the internet. Now, I know we privatize our video, and we do that for a few reasons, but the season's over, we'll unprivatize our video. You know what I mean? Like we did a year ago. But now, like you could say the teams you're playing are X, Y, and Z, but until you see it, until we see it, there's not a lot of Fuchs film. There's just not a lot. So you have to kind of take whatever you can get and try to figure it out from a scouting standpoint. There's not a lot of SAR film, and we went to Satchin, so there's enough film on us, and some of it is actually pretty pitiful. So, whenever Rafi's done and gets to work on us, if in fact he feels like he needs to, and I wouldn't blame him if he doesn't. I mean, again, who are we?
You wouldn't mind if he didn't either, right?
I mean, I don't mind if everybody forgets about us, but that everybody has their own work process and work product.
Right, as we discussed with Lior.
Yeah, you just, you can find Valley Toro film, and you can find SAR film. Some they don't really keep their film online. Mag and David takes it off right when the game's over. So you have to find games where, and they're out there.
Yeah.
So, but I would tell those teams that are trying to do it, if you're not going to go play these teams and they're going to turn you off and they're going to deny you, just put your stuff out there and let all the committee members see who you're playing. You know what I mean? Let them see it. So, hey, you know what? these kids in the Sifter are playing guys pretty good. These kids at Razzie are playing guys who are pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good team they just beat. You know what I mean? So I think that's what you have to do. Like if they're not going, you ain't gonna bring the camel to the water, then bring the water to the camel. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
show them what you're gonna do. Hey, here's who we're playing. That's better than these 12 wins they got in that league. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of Ida Crown film around. So we just have to take it from the greatest social media page in Jewish basketball history. You know, you get a 2-second clip. You go, boy, damn, they're good. You know, because you watch a kid make a layup against Fastman, and you just go, God. But they're like that. They're social media page.
That's what it's about, Coach. We're gonna find out if they're a social media team or a real team, right?
No, that's fact. No, that's fact. That's fact. I don't think Pop. It's not like certain other teams we talk about where they're running their mouths.
Yeah, I hope their media manager goes to Max Live though. We could use him.
No doubt. That guy's terrific. Whoever's running it, he's probably some 75-year-old guy.
No. It's a kid. It's a kid. I met him.
That kid is great. You need to get him at Max Live.
Yeah.
Go to DePaul or something like that. Y'all better get a studio arts thing or something. You know, like you have a visual arts department. But whoever's doing that social media page is the man right there, because he could be their MVP. Because that's, you know what I mean? I'm not disparaging them. I'm just saying that guy, that is, like, I don't go social media very much, but when I see those, what is that? IDCA or something, or J.
ICJA.
Yeah, when I see that, I'll be like, I gotta watch this 2-minute clip.
Yona Rubin, that's who it is.
We're gonna find him in New York, and we're gonna have him take a.
He's coming to New York.
Yona, you're doing a hell of a job, brother. Huh? Like that, like you're gonna find out. You know, are they just an Instagram squad, or can they really go? I took one on the chin for them, so I can attest to them beating my ass. But is that not the most fantastic Instagram page of all time? That like, I get Auburns and all that. This kid competes with all them, you know. So that's an impressive thing. There's a kid who plays at Katz. I'd like to see him play. I think he wears number 20 or something. What's his name, Pop?
Number 20 on Katz.
What, 20, 21 or something?
We talked the big kid.
I don't know, big. He's just a
Yuval.
You got me. I don't know his name. I'm just looking forward to seeing him.
The kid I brought up during the show about he's got good touch by the basket.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
I feel like the three most under the radar tier 1 teams who we just don't have enough information on are Katz, Ida Crown, and Eula.
Well, I mean,
which is good in their case, you know. Why
do we want? It's great in their case. I mean, you are going to have to step up now at 6. They're going to have to step up here a little bit.
Yeah, Eula was like 13 last year.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying they're going to have to step up and justify that. Not to me. I could care less, to be honest.
They win on Thursday. They justify it. They lose on Thursday. They fail to.
Yeah, I think I was telling
it's
Pop.
Pretty easy at this point.
Yeah, I think I was actually telling our group. I'm so used to seeing Eula, you know, the most hyped LA school coming into the tournament. It's just like it just changed over the last 3-4 years.
Well, I mean, it's the advent of Shalhevet and the growth of Valley Torah.
Yeah,
committing to a basketball thing.
Well, I mean, also, Coach, since Eula's last one championship, Shalhevet's appeared in 4 championships.
Right. No, but and I try not to discount Lior because he's kind of dealing with some restrictions at a school like that. That's not necessarily like a school like Shalhevet has its own gym.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's got a lot to deal with, and I mean, I respect both those guys. I respect Ryan. I enjoy watching his teams play. Here's the thing about both those guys, and then people don't really take this into account. Their teams play so damn hard. Like that, they'll both those teams, like you're not gonna watch all of it and go, boy, I wish they play hard. They play hard like every possession. I mean,
Yeah, well, also they're battle tested in a certain way that other teams aren't throughout the year.
how so? Because they play in that CIF or something?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they need to approach the game with a lot more toughness compared to an average Yeshiva League team.
I think that's true, but I'm not going to disparage the Yeshiva League team like that, because there is something to be said for New York tough. Like there's just something, you got to take the train. Traffic sucks. Taxes suck. Mom and dad bitch and moan about their taxes every day. Tuition's high.
That's for sure.
I mean, you're in school till 8 o'clock at night in some of these joints. Like you. And then there's just a tough. Yeah, to live in New York, gotta be a little tough. To live in New Jersey, gotta be a little tough. You know what I mean? It's not just. I mean, you two guys notwithstanding, obviously, but like you, there's a toughness to that. And when they play basketball, they play a little tougher. So what they may lack in progress from the standpoint of 20th to 21st century, in some cases, there's no lack of toughness with the New York guys. I'm straight up. There's no lack of toughness there. I have mad respect for the toughness of New York kids. It's just different. Like it's just a different kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I just sometimes fantasize like putting like a North Shore out against like a Sierra Canyon and seeing how that would play out
That
potentially.
wouldn't play out too great, in my own opinion.
Right.
I mean, because it's a style of play thing. I think Lior is right. It's about matchups. It's always been about matchups.
Well, he was stealing my point, Coach.
Huh? Yes.
He was taking my point. And I'm taking your point, so it's all goes full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm saying it's always about matchups. I mean, like that's why some teams play some teams great and some teams play some teams terrible. Like if you're a guard ball dominant team, okay, and you got to go against Asher Fall, you got to have some issues because that boy will drive you nuts.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're a post team, like a team that doesn't rely on that, he can be had a little bit. No, he can. I mean to say like Asher can be had, but you can play away from Asher if you know what I mean. Like kind of limit how he's a game wrecker, so you can limit how much he wrecks your game. Also with errors, you got to account for both those guys. They're game wreckers on the defensive end. So, like if you're guard dominant, you're really going to have some issues with them, and that's why I think it's an intriguing matchup with Frisch. I know they played earlier in the year. They're probably both different teams, but I would argue after watching the game that Berman is substantially different than they were in California.
Yeah. So as we close our reactions to the seeding, I have one final question, and if Pop also has one, he can certainly opine as well. It doesn't have to be YMC related. It could just be tournament related.
Sure.
What's the most exciting thing you're looking forward to about this tournament?
Well, I think for me, it's getting to take a trip with my guys one last time because we've been together for 4 years, and we had that COVID year, which totally sucked. And they've made great strides since. They really did lose a year of their high school career. We played it, but it wasn't the same. And there was and unlike college, you don't get to keep that year. I'm looking forward to going as a group together one last time. They're great kids. They really don't make any trouble. They do as they're told. That I give them a lot of independence, like I did with my own children. But with independence comes expectation, and they've kind of never let me down. And I don't believe they'll do it again. They'll let me down this time. So I'm excited to do that. I'm also excited to just kind of, for them, they have so many friends on other teams, or a chance to make new friends from other teams.
Yeah, that's the main theme of the tournament.
Which they did a year ago. And then hopefully some of them may be lifelong friends. I know, we talked about this at 2015 tournament where Donnie met Simcha, and that was the beginning of something really special.
Something really,
and
yeah.
The amount of guys that were at that tournament that contributed, I think we may look back. I'd like to think, maybe we won't, because I'm not sure what the kind of talent or depth, you have to wait and see. But like that tournament in 2015, we looked at that and just went, in retrospect, a hell of a tournament. Kind of supplied us, 29 wins in a row.
Yeah.
50 wins in a row, right? But just the fact that we get to play one last time together, that, and try to accomplish something together. That's, to me, the most exciting thing. And then hopefully, I had a kid, you could look him up. His name is Rabbi Yoav Ilan, Elan, Rabbi Yoav Ilan. He just wrote a book on the second Beis HaMikdash. And he's one of the elucidators for Art Scroll. And, I'm really proud of the fact that there are all these coaches in America that have lawyers, doctors, accountants who played for them, I had that, and then I'm probably the only coach in America to have an elucidator for Art Scroll, Talmud Erechen. So, Masechtas Midos, he actually did one of the two, Midos. You could look it up, and last year, Yoav was working out Sunday mornings, and during practice, he came to our practice because he was just working out. He walked in the gym, and he saw we were practicing. And I say, do you want to get in here and run motion with our guys? I mean, he didn't miss a beat 20 years later. He didn't miss a beat.
Wow.
We'll talk about 30 years later. He didn't miss a beat. He knew our offense as good as our kids knew it. To me, that's the most exciting thing. We'll get to take this last trip, God willing, and win or lose, it'll be a time they'll remember for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And be that Monday, regardless, will be the last day that our kind of family is together. It's interesting. Every year, we're a more unique group in this sense. Like every year with every team, you have an 8-month shelf life or a 7-month shelf, and then it's over. And then there's a new team, there's new guys. We really haven't had that. Like for the last 24 months, with the addition of one guy, we've really had everybody together. And for some of them, it's been 48. So that, it's not like they were playing JV on a JV team and then came up to the varsity. They were always on the varsity.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. So that's the most exciting thing for me. And then, of course, to be able to compete, to test yourself. And let's see how good we are. Look, I know we're a lot better than we were a year ago by a substantial margin. But a lot of teams are better than they were a year ago.
Even Valley Torah.
Yeah, and the only difference is that we've been together, we're together for.
Right, you never had the experience of losing someone until after
we didn't lose anybody, and now we're going to have that. And as somebody who's experienced that quite a few times in the past, it is a very I'm not sure what the word is. Not melancholy, but it's a bittersweet moment.
Sure.
Like, because it's the end of a certain part of their life, where over the next 5 years you'll get to see what kind of men they grow up into, and you will have gone all through all of this together, and going through the hardest part of their life, which I believe is their high school years, the most confusing and difficult. And to be able to finish that and do that as a group, that's what I'm most excited about, really. Of course, the whole tournament, it's kind of enjoyable just to go see coach's coach. I love watching peers, and I'm like an old guy now, like I'm the older statement. All these guys are all young and kind of really good coaches. And I'm going like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like the dinosaur, But I look at all these guys and I'm just kind of like, well, I'm coaching against a guy on Friday, two guys who are probably, Ben's can't be 30.
I was in college with Zach Katz.
How old is he now then?
Zach Katz, I think, is only 2 years older than me. So he's about a year older than Ellie.
So he's 30.
Yeah. 31, 32.
You get that? I probably lost 100 games by the time they were born. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if I lost 100. I lost a lot of games before they were born. You know what I mean? So go ahead, Pop.
Do it.
Coach, in terms of leadership on this team, are there any guys in particular on your team who, if you're in a tough situation, you are expecting at this point to be vocal in the huddle or in the locker room? Because obviously you're a pretty vocal person, but I'm curious now that you've got a bunch of guys who have been here for 4 years, in the last moments of their career.
Right.
Is there anyone you're leaning on?
Great question.
I got a text message last night from Donnie Carter that said that the guys really kind of want to stay a little fresher and didn't want to wear themselves out today. Could we? They wanted to. We'll get up at Dobbin at 7:15, meet at school at 7:15, and then we'll practice at 8:00 and go 8 to 10 on a Sunday morning. But he's like, could we practice at 8:15? And I'm like, I want to watch film anyway, so let's just watch film for 45 minutes. That's like, he's always kind of been a quiet leader. I think now he's becoming much more vocal, and he's always been a leader for us. I can't even tell you the kind of man he's going to be. He's just they're all great kids, but he is a phenomenal person. I've leaned on him for 4 years, and we've had situations where we needed leadership and he was the guy. And understand that we've never lost a player, like you said, except if they left school.
Right.
So Donnie Carter, but our young kids, Donnie Oken, Jakob Meister, they really do have this leadership gene in them. And
They'll take on the mantle.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've grabbed it now, but now that Donnie Carter's kind of getting back to being who he always was, and I think he's finally healthy. Lior Hara, he's, look, I want you to think about something. I think Donnie's. He probably has around 1,100 points in his career. John Rosen, soon enough, is like 20 away from 1,000. When you consider that John Rosen scored 51 points in his freshman year, that's hell of a 3 years right there. Especially one of them was COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's just not a lot of guys who hit 9 3-pointers in a game and don't score in the first quarter. There's just not a lot of guys who do it. Sorry. I was a little disturbed by the other day that we had, I think we made 17 field goals and 14 were from 3. That's just, nothing burns me up more than that. But that's credit to Zach Katz and Ben Falk.
Yeah.
They did a hell of a job. They prepared for us. It was obvious they prepared for us.
Yeah, I see Fuchs in a different light these days than when I did growing up.
Right, better than they were, right? Listen, they're legitimate. And you know what? They have 4 kids who are legit 6'1" or taller, and so they can hit you with size too. And then when with Joel, at the point. I mean, it's like a bunch of 6-footers playing against it. So I'm not sure this North Shore thing. Those cats.
Yeah, I don't think Pop and I have the upset, but I think we still highlighted it as a matchup to pay
It's gonna
attention
be a
to.
hell of a game. It really is. It's gonna be a great game to watch.
And also, I guess you're curious to see, are North Shore coming off a championship that day? Are they coming off a tough loss in the finals?
Yeah, or next week. What are they playing? Thursday? Are they playing Thursday?
They're playing Monday.
And when does SAR play Thursday?
No, SAR North Shore is next Monday. Frisch Mag and David is this Thursday.
SAR North Shore is next Monday.
Yeah.
What's that date?
It's
13th?
13th. Yeah.
What time is that?
7:30.
Where's that game?
North Shore.
They stream North Shore?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
All right. Sorry, Rafi, I'm gonna have to watch that. And then Maggie Davis playing Frisch
This Thursday
at Frisch.
at Frisch.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting take on that. Yeah, I think because now Fuchs is out of town, so they're just focused on
Right.
And
as Pop astutely mentioned, when SAR came off that tough loss to Ramaz, Berman took him tight, and
look, you better, strap up, win or lose. You better strap up.
Yeah.
Because these other teams, they didn't, it's kind of like Lior said, they had some debilitating losses that hurt for a while. They take some time off. So these teams have had times off, like Hebrew Academy lost their championship game to a really impressive team, and they gave them a hell of a run. And then they have all this time now to get over that.
Right. Like, for example, playing Fuchs last night.
Right. So you pin your ears back and get ready for this tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the reason why it might be a little bit different in North Shore's case, and obviously we don't know how the Yeshiva League playoffs are going to play out the rest of the way.
Juniors.
Yeah, but no, I wasn't going to talk about that. I was going to talk about the fact that you're playing the championship game at the same location where the Sarachek tournament is.
Oh, hell yeah.
If you lose that game and you play Thursday at 10 a.m., you are still thinking about that game on Sunday.
Maybe, but you have the experience of playing in that gym when the other team really doesn't.
Well, so North Shore's lucky that game's at 10 a.m. and not at 5:30. Because there's not going to be a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah, it'll be practically empty.
As opposed to the team playing at 5:30, you think it's going to be busy, huh, Pop?
Well, I'm leaving work early. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Thanks for the slot. Thanks for the time slot there, Pop. Is 5:30 primetime Sarachek?
5:30 is MTA.
5:30 is usually MTA slot, so it's a surprise that they're playing at
7 is prime time, but they flipped it this year, which means they're prime time, coach.
MTA,
although I guess Valley Tour is technically prime time this year.
Right, because TABC
messed up this year.
TABC will bring the fans.
Yeah, that game is going to get loud.
Yeah, so and 8:30 games are not normally loud.
Well, God willing, we'll be gone by then. Going home, getting some rest, regardless of who we play the next day. Because I tend to think we'll try to get a shoot around in the morning, so maybe we'll come to some later game. We may miss that Fuchs game or not. And then we really haven't planned it out. We'll probably plan it out next week. But then, our guys going to want to watch some of that. So playing at 5:30, you're sitting around the gym waiting your chance to play. Part of that's not great either. Where SARs just come from school. You know what I mean? Like you're just sitting in the gym waiting to play.
Right.
SAR is going to school in the morning. It's a regular.
Yeah. No, it's totally a different schedule of the day.
The whole vibe is different.
Yeah.
You're antsy. They just get off the bus. They go home, sleep at night in their house, then bring their Shabbos clothes.
Yeah. I mean, they're in school for the day, and they're being treated like heroes.
So, you do have a lot to overcome a little bit, but those are just excuses. Get tough, grow up. Time to grow up. So that is our high school edition of basketball. I hope somewhere in here there are basketball lessons for people to learn. But
always with you.
We could not have a post-reaction show. I tried to stay away from talking too much about it.
No, as usual, you did a very effective job. Thank you so much to everyone. This is going to be shown in about an hour from now, so stay tuned. Thank you so much to Coach. Wishing everyone a happy Purim. And after the holiday ends, as Coach mentioned, the real work begins. Hopefully, we'll have a couple more shows before Sarachek begins on March 20th.
I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to do stuff from Sarachek with certain coaches, like from a hotel or whatever, with certain coaches.
That'd be great.
Kind of face to face with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then maybe even a round table, which we just pick certain guys one night and maybe certain guys another night. That would be the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. If any coaches listen
If any
to
coaches
this,
are listening and want to participate, I'd love to have them.
yeah, and we'll God willing be able to go live if we can figure out the logistics and everything.
That'd be awesome. That's why we have you two computer nerds on here, but evidently you losers have not been able to figure it out for 9 shows worth.
Paging Mayor Wiesel.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a good night, and we're gonna get a few more episodes in before Sarachek begins in a couple weeks.
I
Thanks so
will.
much. Have a good night.